I've quickly shown you the inspector window before, and I'm going to go and look at more inspector windows now, as well as the info window. Now, what is the difference between the two? Here is an info window, and I can open it by selecting a file or folder in the Finder and choosing Get Info or Command I from the File menu. If, on the other hand, I select a file or folder and hold down the Option key and choose Show Inspector instead of Show Info. This is the Option key symbol over here, so I can use Option Command I on the keyboard. If I release the Option key, you'll see that the command changes. The Inspector window has a different behavior than the Info window, although it looks the same. You'll notice there's a slightly different bar at the top of the window, and if I want to look at the info window for another file or folder, I need to come over here and open it with the Get Info command. But let me move these around so that you can see what's going on here, and in fact we'll minimize this window. What you may have noticed as I was opening a second info window was that the inspector window over here changed. So as I come through and select other files, the inspector window will change to reflect the information about whatever is selected, and if I want an info window, I will have to open another one. This is really interesting and important to use as you are searching for documents. If you want to compare them, it's much easier to use an inspector window and just click around to see what's in them, rather than opening a lot of info windows. So I'm going to stay with the inspector window now and go through it to show you that what you have in the info or inspector window is a whole sequence of sections that you can enlarge or reduce. The spotlight comments will work with the spotlight feature that we'll talk about later on. The general information is common for every type of file. So every file will have a kind. What I'm looking at here is a Jpeg image. This is a document that I'm looking at here now. If I look at a PDF file, that's its kind. I see the size of it, and the size, the actual size in bytes, is more specific than the general kilobyte size, but they're very close, as you can see. And you can see where the file is, when it was created, when it was last modified, and a label that may be attached to it, which is a color. So, for example, if I come down here and select the color green, then I will have a green background for that file. I used that previously in the applications folder to indicate which applications ship with Mac OS X Leopard. In the case of these two checkboxes, I can indicate that a file is locked, which means it cannot be changed. I can turn it on or off. If you have something that's very important that you don't want to have changed automatically or accidentally, then you can lock it. Or you can share a folder. We'll talk about that when we come back to file sharing. So this is the general information, and as you see, as I move from one type of file to another, although the details are different, I always have this general information about the file. More information varies on the kind of file that it is. Here's a Jpeg file that was downloaded from a camera, and I have all of this information that was captured by the camera, like what the camera was, the color space, how it was focused, and so forth. So all of this comes with this file because it was downloaded from a digital camera. Here's another Jpeg file also downloaded from a digital camera. Here's a FileMaker database, and more info on that is just when it was last opened. Here's a PDF file, and the more info on that is how many pages are in it, the dimensions of it in pixels, and so forth. So you can get a lot of information without actually opening a file just by going to the info window. Now let's look at the path to the file and the name and extension, and we'll do that in the next segment.